Ryan Schultz here from E39 Source, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing another retrofit. I've done a bunch of these this year. They're too much fun. This is a 2000 E39 M5. That's what the VIN tag says, but almost everything else suggests otherwise. And the thing we're doing today, this video is way out of order. In fact, I've already done it. It is the emergency escape release handle. Yeah, doesn't that add a ton of function? This thing was standard on E39s, at least in the United States, from September of 2001, the 2002 model year. I think it was a United States DOT or safety or whatever that said that that had to be in place. If you kidnap someone and lock them in the trunk, all you've got to do is grab the glow-in-the-dark handle, release it from its little tab, pull, and you have a manual way to force the trunk lid open and escape. I don't ever plan on locking anybody in this trunk. If I did, I'd want them to stay in here, but now we've given them an escape option. BMW has very kindly provided us with this documentation here, a full list of all the parts required to complete this retrofit. They are all here on Real OEM, and as we can see, there's only a total of 6 or so parts. So this one over here, I have a clip talking about it in a minute for number 5. If you've already replaced your trunk latch assembly that's attached to the trunk lid, you won't need that. If you haven't, if yours is original, produced before September of 2001, you will need that part as well. Otherwise, you're definitely going to need these other 5. I will link this page and all the parts down below in the description to this video, as well as a link to purchase them. This latch assembly over here on the left is the original one out of my 2000 M5, and this is the one out of that 2002 M5. Now we can see the difference right in this piece here. This one's flat and smooth. That's original February of 2000. And then over here in November of 2001 for the 02 model year, that little nub is different, and it adds the little place where the Bowden cable ends up clipping in, and that's what manually opens this trunk latch. Now, I don't know what the odds are. I so happened to replace my trunk latch in the exact same day that I did this retrofit. Therefore, I didn't need to retrofit this piece, which they call the bar, and I'm not sure if it just pulls off or if it's clipped or how it's attached to the lock actuator here for the trunk latch, but that will need to change as well, unless you have already replaced or upgraded, facelifted, so to speak, your trunk latch. Now, to access the latch, we need to remove this plastic piece of trim, which I have done on camera, though it's been quite a while, and it's only got a total of 7 fasteners, and 4 of them are clips, or those plastic normal BMW clips that are all along this back edge. Then in the front we have 2 of these push pin fasteners that you need a very small flathead screwdriver, and you pry the center out. In fact, you can almost use your fingernails. And the whole connector, well, the head comes out like that, and then the rest of it I'll use a screwdriver to pull that out. And then up inside the handle, maybe get a light and look up in there, there's a little cover. Use a pick tool. I'm going to use this 90-degree pick to pick the cover off, and that will reveal 1 Phillips head screw. Cover's on the left, the screw is on the right, and there's the 2 push pins right there. With those out of here, it is quite loose, although I mentioned the 4 connectors in the back. So I like to get fingers under here like this, get as close as you can to the clip, and then just pry it out. If you break these things, they're a little bit pricey, but you should replace them. It will rattle around and just feel really cheap without them. And that last one came off like that, so we could stick that in, you guessed it, a dry safe location. This trunk lid was removed from a sterling gray 2002 E39 M5, and we're going to take a look at the Bowden cable installation inside the trunk lid. Now, this is what connects your latch that keeps your trunk shut to the emergency escape handle that's way over here. And the cable itself is going to be 1 piece. Comes over here at U's underneath the trim, and then it just attaches to the latch, and this would be a manual force open as you pull that handle. So we have 2 parts here. We have the Bowden cable, and then there's a little clip that goes on the bodywork right here. So I'm just going to rob this one for now. We're going to pop this clip off with a screwdriver like such and fish it out of here. We can see that the cable just runs through that clip. And then over here, we'll need to figure out how it detaches from the latch, and I'll get a better look at that. So I was able to pull some of the wire, the metal or steel part of the Bowden cable out, and then loop it around like this, and then it just slides out of the assembly towards the rest of the trunk lid. So now we've got the sheathing here in this part. Got to figure out how that comes off next. So I just went ahead and removed this whole latch. The latch is fitted to the trunk lid itself with 3 Torx 30s. You have 2 here and the third one up there. And then that showed how this plastic part, this is actually all part of the Bowden cable, that just easily attaches on the back side here in this groove. Now back on my car, I was able to release the latch. I didn't fully disconnect it. It's still attached to the hook that comes over here to the latch. And then the sheath, as part of the Bowden cable, snaps around the back. We're able to slide the hook end of the Bowden cable through the place where it goes and then run the cable through. So now it's just a matter of remembering and checking the video to see where this clip attaches and then pushing it through our hole and connecting it to the handle. Here's a piece of trunk carpeting trim removed from a 2002 E39 M5 that already has the cutout for the emergency escape handle. And we can take a measuring tape to that. The top of this hole is 4 7/8 inches over from the bottom or chassis trunk lid side of the cutout for your trunk lid light. So we come over that far, we'll find that the hole is about 1 inch high and about 1/4 inch wide. And if we get a better look at it, we'll see that the top is rounded, so is the bottom, but then there's also a divot. It is not hypercritical that it be exactly like that, although you do want to get it as close as you can. Location also matters, but it is not down to microns here. This stuff is not that accurate. So this is kind of a difficult material to cut through. Alternatively, you could attempt replacing it. The part number, if you go to Real OEM and select E39 M5 and then type in these final 7 digits of 8186808, it will populate the rest of that part number. And unfortunately, the part number didn't change. This is the one that says it was in use from 95 through 2003. So I'm thinking that instead of making another piece, there was just a procedure done, or a tool, probably a $4,000 special tool that was used to make this hole in the right location. Thankfully, it's not rocket science. We can take a pocket knife or an X-Acto knife, something that's very sharp. And I started with a slit, and then I pretty much just made it rectangular and kept test fitting the little nub that goes in there until it fit. The back side of the hole, I removed the sticker, which had already fallen off, and that is me as a 17-year-old trying to tape it in place. We'll get past that. The back side is, they clip together, the front and the back. The handle itself clips onto this piece that looks like that, and the nub faces you standing at the back of the car. Of course, the cable will go through there and then attach to the handle. And then on the back side of the nub, you first put on this sheath. It goes this way. It has a little bit of a flange that wraps around the back side of the carpeting there. And then there's kind of a washer that clips on this first black piece from the back. And you have to press it pretty hard, then it snaps into place, and that's when you know you're connected. There's no glue, there's no screws, it just snaps together on either side of the carpeting. And then the final cable route looks like this. We saw the sheath that goes around the electronic actuator on the latch itself. It comes over here, it does a U through the first part, and then the clip goes right there. I'm sorry this is out of focus, it's a very difficult place to try to film. It clips on there, and then the cable just ends, and you shove the end of it through the hole, and once you have all the hardware in, and then you attach it to the handle and clip the handle up on its peg. You can test this whole thing by locking the trunk. If you get a screwdriver in there and push this all the way in so it clicks and it thinks it's locked. And then you take the handle and you pull it towards you standing at the back of the car. And then just so we don't stress the cable too much, I pull it this way towards the center of the toolkit. It will manually force open the latch. Let's go ahead and test operation here. So I open up the toolkit, I'm going to rob my screwdriver, we'll stick it in there and push so we can see that it's locked. Then you would grab this glow-in-the-dark handle, pull it, it opens and turns the light on. Putting the trunk trim back in is just as easy as removal. I started with the 4 tabs in the back, make sure they're lined up, make sure that the tab is actually starting to go into its bore, and then just smack it with the heel of your hand or a fist or whatever. You don't need tools for that. I think these get broken all the time because people don't make sure that they're starting to go back in the hole, they're just next to it and then they smack it and it breaks off, and that's not good for anybody. So get those 4 in, the Phillips goes here, don't forget to put the cover back on, and then you can put these things in last. The DIY would be incomplete without a full dark test. So we're going to close the trunk. I'm going to cheat. I'm not going to lock myself in there because there's nobody else at the shop right now and I don't want to be in here for 3 days. So I'm just going to open up the split fold seats. We're going to get a look inside and see exactly what that handle looks like in the dark. Wow, it's really bright. It's way brighter than I thought. I'm going to crawl in here now and see if I can escape. Oh, I'm never doing this again. It works. All right, guys, that's the retrofit. Just when you think you've seen it all, I find something like that kind of comes out of nowhere. I thought it was an 01 plus thing, but Sean's car over here is an 01 and it doesn't have it. So indeed it is September 01 for the 02 model year and beyond. Leave me a comment. What am I missing that makes this car essentially a 2003? Of course, it's Silverstone metallic. That was not available in 2003. Of course, there's production dates in the VIN and things like that will always give it away as a 2000. Though the majority of everything, including the HVAC panel in there, if you recall that from a few months ago, has indeed been updated to 2002 or 3 plus. So thanks for watching this one. Leave any comments down below. If you need any of these parts, I have a latch, a good working latch that has the right end for the Bowden cable to attach to, and I am able to sell new parts as well. So keep me in mind for that. Thank you for watching. Leave some comments below. We'll talk in the next E39 source video.